Bonjour, c'est Clara Clearly French. Today's video is about the 12 most common mistakes English speakers make when speaking French. The first one, and I hear it all the time, it's misplacing adverbs. Remember, they always go after the main verb. For instance, I always eat a lot is not je toujours mange beaucoup. Okay, toujours does not go there. Je mange toujours beaucoup, because you've got to explain what activity you do a lot before you say how often you do it. He never says anything, the same. You can't say il jamais ne dit rien. You have to say il ne dit jamais rien. Dit is the verb, so jamais goes after. The other one is incorrect gender. Now you have to really memorize the gender with each word you're learning. Half the time, if you make a mistake, it's no big deal. It's just that the whole sentence would sound a bit wrong, a bit weird. But sometimes it will be quite funny because it will mean something else. For instance, in those two cases, the first one, I'm going to the post office. Je vais au poste. That would actually mean you're going to the police station. It's not really what you want to say. You want to say je vais à la poste. Okay? Because la poste is the post office. Excuse me, it's my turn. Excusez-moi, c'est ma tour would make people laugh because it means excuse me, it's my tower. You have to say excusez-moi, c'est mon tour. Now this one is not really a mistake. It's the not using connectors. It's something that beginners make naturally because they don't have a flow to the language. But I would say at the very least, learn how to say so. And you can use alors, you could use donc, or you could use du coup. Choose whichever one you like and use it. I'm sick, so I'm going home. Beginners say, je suis malade, je rentre à la maison. That's fine, but it's kind of robotic and there's something missing. Je suis malade, alors je rentre à la maison. It's much better. Train drivers are on strike, so it's a shambles. Les cheminots sont en grève, c'est la pagaille. Again, something's missing. Les cheminots sont en grève, du coup, c'est la pagaille. Now you could use alors or donc here. It's as you want. Mispronouncing nasal sounds, that's a serious mistake. The on, and the un, if you swap them around, what you say would be nonsensical and no one will know what you're trying to say. It's really annoying. What I hear a lot is, for instance, French and dark, français and foncé. People completely mix them up and I don't know what they're trying to say. Français is a on and foncé is a on. Same for without or his or her. Sans versus son. Not the same thing at all. En in the first instance, on in the second one. Same for we and one. On and un. Totally different. On with a O, un with like the number one. The next mistake is using false friends. Actually, I'm not coming. I hear people say actuellement, je ne viens pas, which means currently I'm not coming, which doesn't really mean anything here. So you've got to say en fait, je ne viens pas. We got there eventually, or we managed eventually. If you say on y est éventuellement arrivé, it's completely nonsensical because éventuellement means possibly. You want to say on y est finalement arrivé. Now this one I'm always going on and on about in lessons. Do not use direct translations. You have to remember to use idiomatic expressions or specific French structures. For instance, when you want to say something as simple as "it's cold," if you say "il est froid," it means he's a cold-hearted person. It's not what you mean. You want to say "il a froid," he has cold, because that's how we say it. Another one I hear all the time, we had a good time. Do not say on a eu du bon temps. That really, I know what you're trying to say, and people would understand, but it sounds really not right. You have to say on s'est bien amusé, and you link the N. On s'est bien amusé. Another common mistake is being overly formal when speaking. Remember to use standard French, not written French when speaking. Now, this one I blame school for, because school only teach you the written French. What are you doing tonight? And the you here is plural. People say, que faites-vous ce soir? But this is really formal. We would say, qu'est-ce que vous faites ce soir? That's much more natural. Could I have another beer, please? Pourrais-je avoir une autre bière, s'il vous plaît? That's written French. Don't say pourrais-je. Just say, je pourrais avoir une autre bière, s'il vous plaît? Another mistake I hear a lot is when people confuse politeness levels. They're going to use tu instead of vous or vice versa. For instance, when you want to ask where do you live to a person you've just met, you have to say vous, not tu. So tu habites où is way too informal. Just say vous habitez où? Same when you want to say where are you going to a friend. You wouldn't say vous, you wouldn't say vous allez où. It's far too formal. You'd say tu vas où? Another one I hear a lot is mixing verb tenses, specifically the passé composé and the imperfect. For instance, people who want to say I used to play tennis will often say j'ai joué au tennis, but that means you played tennis yesterday as a one-off thing. If you want to say used to, you have to say je jouais au tennis. That's a habitual action in the past. If you want to say the meal was delicious, don't say le repas a été délicieux, because a été would suggest it was delicious for 5 seconds. But the whole meal was delicious for a while, and it still is. So le repas était délicieux. It's like a state of being in the past, if you like. Now, the mistake beginners make is to forget about liaison, especially the mandatory ones. For instance, if you want to say my friends are away, you have to say mes amis sont partis. You can't say mes amis because it doesn't sound like anything. It doesn't actually mean anything if you say mes amis. It's that important. The children are coming. Les enfants arrivent. We wouldn't say les enfants, ever. It's very nice or it's very pleasant. C'est très agréable. After très, you have to link when there's a vowel. We would never say très agréable. Okay, so this one's interesting. Omitting prepositions. This is rife where I live because in my region in the UK, people say I'm going the shops. It's familiar, it's wrong, but they do say it. So they translate it in French as well. So instead of saying I'm going to the supermarket, they'll say I'm going the supermarket, and they translate je vais le supermarché, which absolutely doesn't work in French. Je vais au supermarché. O being the contraction of a and le, which is to the. The children are back from school. Les enfants sont rentrés l'école. That doesn't mean anything. Les enfants sont rentrés de l'école. They are back from school. If you leave the from out, it doesn't mean anything. Massively important, and probably the most difficult thing to get right, is using the right preposition. And it's difficult in every language, so I wouldn't lose any sleep over this. Just learn it as you go. For instance, if you want to say I saw it on TV, you can't say je l'ai vu sur la télé. You didn't see it on top of the TV, okay? Je l'ai vu à la télé, because à la télé means on TV. So you can't always say, oh, on is sur, so I'm going to use that every single time. It doesn't work. Is this the train to Bordeaux? If you say c'est le train à Bordeaux, doesn't mean anything. You have to say c'est le train pour Bordeaux, because it's the train that's bound for Bordeaux. If you like this video and would like to support me, I would really appreciate it if you would leave a small tip by clicking on the Ko-fi link in the description. Merci d'avance et à bientôt.